semester finale of Husky Update, a transition in student leadership. We sit down with Northeastern's outgoing and incoming SGA presidents to talk elections, student concerns, and what comes next. Plus, a closer look at safety on campus following recent incidents, what's being said, and how the university is responding. And from global to local, a student perspective on the war in Iran and how it's impacting the Northeastern community. We'll also say goodbye and a fond farewell to NUTV News graduating seniors and get a sneak peek at A Script Unscripted, a project exploring the future of local news broadcast. Turning to sports, Cassandra Joyce takes a look at the rise of women's hockey in Boston. The stories that matter most, on campus and beyond. Your spring 2026 semester finale of Husky Update starts right now.
Hi, I'm Selena Budd.
And I'm Eliana Zahalski.
And welcome to this special edition of the Husky Update, your source for broadcast coverage here at Northeastern and around the world.
We begin tonight with developments on the war in Iran. The U.S. and Iran reached a shaky 2-week ceasefire on terms that Iran would reopen the Strait of Hormuz if the U.S. and Israel stopped their strikes on Iran and its allies. President Trump said that the countries would use that time to negotiate, though the administration's exact goals for the war are unclear. On its part, Iran put forth a 10-point proposal that has not been made public, but sources told the New York Times that Iran is focusing on ending American and Israeli aggression in Iran and Lebanon, the lifting of sanctions on Iran, and acceptance for Iran's nuclear programs. Trump called the proposal a workable basis for negotiations. However, the ceasefire almost immediately broke when Israel continued its assault on Lebanon, killing more than 250 people and leaving more than 1,160 wounded, according to NPR. Now, Vice President J.D. Vance is on his way to Pakistan, where he will meet the Iranian delegation for negotiations regarding the conflict. The war is also impacting students here in our community. NUTV News correspondent Andy Jones spoke with students about how the war is affecting them.
Since the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran on February 28th, bombings have killed thousands of Iranians and assassinated some of the top leaders of the Islamic Republic regime. NUTV spoke to Iranian students at Northeastern to learn how they've been reckoning and coping with the controversial war that is sure to have deep effects on Iran.
Yeah, my family, everyone is just kind of holding on. It's just a really difficult and a weird time to be alive and be witnessing war.
Internet shutdowns in Iran have limited the information that can come out of the country, filling Western media feeds with videos released by the Iranian government and cutting Iranians in the diaspora off from family members threatened by bombings.
Seeing that on the news and then not hearing from your family is like, you're like, are they okay? How are they? So that, I think, makes it a lot more difficult because you start seeing scenarios in your head and like coming to conclusions yourself. So yeah,
there is not a lot of communication. I think over the past few months, the most we've been able to receive is maybe like a one-word message, or sometimes my uncle is able to post a white screen on Instagram just so that we know that he's alive, if he's able to connect to the internet.
The control of people's conversations provides a very dangerous space, a gap, that has then been filled by propaganda. And we see what they want us to see, and it is impossible to get the full perspective without the people having access to the internet.
And you have a little bit of hope, especially after the supreme leader was killed, and he has caused a lot of death, a lot of suffering for a lot of Iranians. So obviously everyone was very happy, but then what came after that is just bombing and bombing. So it's like you can't be happy for too long, and you're trying to hold on to hope.
It may be hard to learn how those in Iran feel about the war, but in the U.S., we know that the Iranian community hasn't found one right answer.
Regime change is kind of a big ticket item for many Iranians and many diaspora Iranians, but the manner in which it's happened, especially with all the civilian deaths that have happened in Iran and the rest of the Middle East, the supreme leader was killed and it was replaced with his son, which is basically just a carbon copy of him and his exact beliefs, if anything more extreme. So it doesn't seem like there's really any substantial change happening in the country right now, and that all of the infrastructure and power and oil has been targeted for no meaningful reason for Iranians living in Iran or Iranian Americans who want to see their country come back to life a little bit.
I mean, this really sounds awful, and it really hurts to say it, but people will either die as casualties in bombs that could liberate them forever, or they'll be killed by machine guns in the streets by internal forces forever. I'm so grateful that we get to be here and we get to protest for our rights. And when I see people go out on the streets and protest the war, thinking that they're doing the right thing, and they fly flags of the Islamic Republic and they say we're anti-imperialism, what about Eastern imperialism? What about the occupying regime in that country? It's not fair that we get to be free here and we get to speak over people who don't have internet and don't have a way to have their voice heard. They're begging for an intervention.
There's a lot of Iranians in the diaspora, I think specifically, who they think that the best way for Iranians to be free of the Islamic regime is for outside interference. And there's a lot of Iranians who also don't think that, but I feel like the ones that are the loudest are the ones who do think that. You can understand where they're coming from. I feel like bombing a country is never the best way to help the people.
A vast majority of Iranians want to see regime change in the country, but some people are not totally comfortable that this was the route that was taken to kind of enforce that regime change, especially since the Trump administration has not outright said that that was their only goal for this war.
The Iranian community in Boston has held weekly protests in Copley Square, same time every week. And they're usually somber. They're handing out flowers and memories of those who had been killed by the regime. But that day they were dancing and they were celebrating and playing music. And of course there was people who came by, walking by and yelling, "You're all monsters, you're all monsters," because they were holding Israeli flags and saying, "Thank you, Trump." Someone who opposes Trump's ideology and Bibi's ideology, and who opposes their authoritative approach to politics, would see that and feel enraged. I can absolutely understand that. But there is also, as an observer, as a person, to see Iranians celebrating and to then say, "You're all monsters, is also concerning.
I don't want war. Nobody wants a war. But this is literally the only way that there is a future. If we pull out now, people are going to die. People are going to die. It's been happening for 50 years.
This war is truly unnecessary, so it's ridiculous that like children in Iran are dying, people in Lebanon are dying, people in Israel are dying. It just was not really justified and didn't make any sense either way.
And unfortunately, since the war started and we've already begun, it's like an open heart surgery. You can't really leave the patient on the table when we've already started.
We turn now to violence on campus. Over the past 2 weeks, several incidents have taken place involving deadly weapons. In late March, police announced a student had been stabbed outside Marino, while just a few days later, a stabbing occurred near Huntington Avenue. And later that evening, police received reports of shots fired on Gainsborough Street. Finally, a police officer investigating a mental health incident was stabbed by a man with a sword on April 4th. Multiple police officers then shot and killed the suspect.
On Sunday, March 29th, Pope Leo released a statement claiming that leaders who wage war and have, quote, hands full of blood, in a rebuke to the Trump administration. The comment was in relation to the thousands of American troops that were being sent to the U.S. days after the U.S. Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, wished for violence against enemies that deserve no mercy. The Pope spoke to the pain and heartbreak that comes with war and encouraged everyone to continue their prayers to push for a path of peace.
In the coming weeks, the newly elected student body president and executive vice president will prepare to take office after winning an unopposed election last month.
NUTV's Andrew Longo digs deeper into the role of the executive branch of student government can play on campus and the approach of its new leaders.
Every spring, Northeastern students elect one of their peers to run their student body government, representing their perspective and views at the university. But what exactly does the student body president do? How can they influence life on campus? And who is the new person stepping into the role?
For student government, we're a volunteer association. So for people to put in the immense amount of time and effort they do, they have to enjoy it.
Julian Herzing-Bacard is rounding out his year-long term as Northeastern student body president.
Student government, in essence, is a framework for students to elevate their voices and work on what they think is important to change. So in that, our job is to not only try to push for these things or elevate student voices, but encourage students to also do that.
Serving alongside Executive Vice President Dylan Lee.
Our goal is to have Northeastern students be connected with government on every level.
For the past year, they have sought to fight overcrowding on campus and foster a stronger sense of community.
Overcrowding on campus, or perhaps a better way to frame it, is the thinning of resources for increasingly number of students. The number of students has continued to grow. The capacity of our resources hasn't grown at that same rate.
But change doesn't happen overnight.
We've done a lot of work this year, especially on the long-term side. We recognize that this is not an issue that you can fix by just having one more event or one more orientation. It's definitely something that is a collaboration with the administration long-term on how can we foster belonging with these students.
Now, in a few weeks' time, the baton will be passed once again. Molly Coulot was elected by students last month to serve as their next president, alongside her executive VP, Benedict Winkler.
It was an amazing experience campaigning. We spoke to thousands of students, and one of the biggest questions that we asked students while we were tabling over campus and while we were going around getting signatures was, if you had to change one thing about Northeastern, what would you change?
As you can imagine, they got an earful.
Getting to hear all of their ideas was really amazing because you just have so many different kinds of students on this campus as well. And there were so many unique ideas that we were able to hear.
The problems they identified?
These include improving academic advising here on campus, opening up more club spaces for campus, and working on improving the campus community here and giving students more opportunities to meet one another. And we established these as our campaign goals from these conversations,
which they plan to tackle by giving academic advisors more resources, allowing new buildings to be booked by clubs, and hosting larger gatherings around school sporting events. They also plan on addressing the hot-button issues raised in the 5 referenda passed by students this spring, focused on protecting students from ICE on campus, reducing restrictions on campus demonstrations, releasing the minutes of the Board of Trustees, putting a student on the University Policy Oversight Committee, and keeping the O'Brien Institute open to students.
We look forward to working with administrators in the upcoming year and explaining how students feel about these issues and working on collaboratively on a solution to see if we can get more transparency or provide resources for ICE on campus and accomplish the goals outlined in these referenda.
But what can they do to actually make change on these issues? The answer is nothing concrete, but they serve to inform the university of what students want.
As the Student Government Association, our primary responsibility is to be the advocates for students for any issue and representing student voices to administrators no matter what. If it's a student issue, we will make sure that administrators hear about it.
Now the hard work begins. You guys have a year of presumably pretty hard work ahead of you. What are you looking forward to?
I have personally loved the campaign period and talking to all of these students and tabling around campus, so I'm eager to continue that and to meet a lot of new students and hear what students want to see at Northeastern.
At Northeastern, Andrew Longo, NUTV News.
Rent prices across the East Coast are hitting record highs in early 2026, with Boston and New York deemed 2 of the most expensive cities to live in. Newark, New Jersey, which is my home state, New Jersey, not Newark, saw a staggering 8.1% annual increase in rent this past year, while Brooklyn's median rent rose to $5,000 a month in February this week. This week, Massachusetts voters rallied for a 5% cap on annual rent increases, hoping to get the state to pass the law now rather than waiting until November to vote on it.
The most recent rally took place this past Wednesday in Beacon Hill, with voters carrying signs saying "Protect our neighbors" and "Take home into our hands." The proposed ballot edition, however, does not make any distinction between a person who owns one rental unit and someone who owns 10,000. So unless you live in unit, every property owner would be greatly affected, including the many small-owned realty companies in the city of Boston. Rents in place by January 31st, 2026 would act as the baseline for future annual increases and would provide the stability many renters crave during the current affordability crisis.
All right, congratulations to the graduating seniors of Northeastern University. Commencement for the undergraduate class of 2026 will happen on the 29th of April in Fenway Park at 4 p.m. This is an iconic stage to end such an incredible experience. Commencement will feature guest speaker Hilary Duff, who first gained fame as a teen idol through the TV series Lizzie McGuire and a string of pop songs in the 2000s, building a career that spans multiple industries. So get ready for an inspiring send-off. We can't wait to see what the future holds for the class of 2026.
This is what dreams are made of. Northeastern University's Council for University Programs, or CUP, will host the final concert of the semester this Sunday, April 12th, on Centennial Common. The show will be headlined by Between Friends, with supporting performances from Almost Monday and Chewy. The concert begins at 7 p.m. The event is free to attend and open to Northeastern undergraduate students.
TSA workers are now getting paid again following a shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. After more than 40 days, President Trump signed an order directing the department to pay employees. Some workers had missed 2 full paychecks by this month, but began receiving back pay last month. TSA lines at airports have mostly returned to normal, but there have been reports that lines in the early morning are much longer as people are still arriving earlier for their flights. Remember to always leave early before your flight.
The astronauts aboard the Orion spacecraft of the Artemis II mission are set to re-enter Earth's atmosphere at 7:53 p.m. tonight and splash down off the coast of San Diego around 8:07 p.m. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen are the first humans to explore the moon since 1972 and the first ever to explore the dark side of the moon. The crew set the record for the furthest distance that any human has traveled in space, surpassing the Apollo 13 mission in 1970. In an emotional display, the crew dedicated a crater to Commander Reed Wiseman's late wife, Carol, who lost a 5-year battle with cancer in 2020. NUTV sports reporter and graduating senior Brianna Adele is here to update us with all things sports. Brianna?
Thanks, Eliana. In Northeastern news, the baseball team took on the Harvard Crimson on Wednesday for the first round of the baseball Beanpot. Starting off hot, the Huskies jumped out to a 3-run lead by the top of the second. Ryan Garrity put Northeastern ahead by another run in the fourth, but the Crimson were unable to respond, ending the game with a final score of 4-1. The Huskies will face off against the Boston College Eagles on Tuesday night, looking to claim their 3rd straight Beanpot title. Looking towards the pros, we saw the first ever Husky versus Husky starting pitcher matchup when Cam Schlittler's Yankees faced off against Aaron Savale's Athletics. Both saw 5 innings, with Savale pitching only 1 run off 2 hits and Schlittler throwing 7 strikeouts. Ultimately, the Yankees won the game 5-3. In Boston, the Red Sox had their opening day on April 3rd against the San Diego Padres, winning 5-2. The Red Sox came alive in the 6th inning, getting 2 home runs, allowing for 3 scores. It was a bright spot in an otherwise rocky start to the season, as Boston has gone 4-8 through their first 12 games. The Red Sox have won their last 2 games, however, and look to extend that streak in their game tonight against the Cardinals. First pitch is set for 8:15. For NUTV Sports, I'm Brianna Adele. And now to Cassandra Joyce for an update on women's hockey.
Boston is a city known for its extensive sports history, from the collegiate level up to the pros. And the City of Champions is seeing exponential growth in one sport in particular, women's hockey. From golden goal scorer Megan Keller playing on the Boston Fleet to the rise of women's Beanpot, women's hockey is having its moment here in Beantown. And here at Northeastern is where many levels of that growth begin.
Northeastern's varsity women's hockey program began in 1980 with a winning season right off the bat. For Linda Lundgren, who joined the program in 1989 and later coached at Northeastern, There was nothing like being able to put on a Husky uniform and play at Matthews Arena.
Oh, it was great. I mean, it was, you see what it is now, and it feels so much, it feels bigger. It feels maybe sometimes more supported. Maybe it's obviously on a bigger landscape nationally, internationally, but it felt that way to us in our bubble. Like it was big time, right? Like I couldn't believe the first day I stepped on the ice at Northeastern that I was actually, you know, that I was doing it. I felt like not I had goals, but I was like, I can't believe I'm playing D1 hockey, right?
With 20 Beanpot titles, 9 conference titles, and 4 trips to the Frozen Four, Northeastern women's hockey has been a dominant force and holds itself to a standard of excellence. Despite the team's success, the program has struggled getting the attention in the past that it is now beginning to reach today. Maria Zardo Champa, the founder of WomenX, graduated from Northeastern in 1992, and the women's hockey team wasn't even on her radar.
Okay, I have to admit, I didn't even know we had a women's hockey team. And it wasn't until I was at the men's, till I came back to Boston in 2008, I got involved with Northeastern again. Actually, what happened was we do a calendar every year where we have artists create artwork of a woman that we choose, and we did Title IX Trailblazers, and we profiled Kelly Dyer Hayes. And when I posted it, Kelly reached out and said, "Oh my God, I love this." I didn't know her. We became fast friends, and she brought me into the women's hockey scene.
Champa now can't get enough of women's hockey and was a driving force behind moving women's Beanpot to TD Garden, increasing attendance from 1,346 in 2023 to 13,279 in 2025. For Lundrigan, the Beanpot was one of the best parts of Northeastern hockey.
It's such an incredible concept to be able to win a championship within your season. So if your season is not going great and you win the Beanpot, you have a very good chance of, finishing strong or having that thing that you accomplished if the season in general didn't go as planned. And that is just such an amazing feeling to win it, but just to be able to play in it and know how unique it is. And now to see how much, where women's sports is going and what our athletes get to experience, it's just, I don't know, fills my cup.
With the rise of the PWHL, TD Garden will get another opportunity to be filled with women's hockey fans as the Boston Fleet is playing its first ever game at the Garden April 11th against the Montreal Victory. Featuring Northeastern alumni Aaron Frankel, Alina Mueller, Haley Skimura, and Skylar Irving, the teams are playing to a sold-out crowd and are prepared to show the city of Boston what women's hockey is all about. The Fleet Center, Susanna Tapani, is excited about the possibilities playing at TD Garden will unlock.
At least the TD game is going to be awesome because I didn't think it's going to happen during my time here. So that was a nice surprise also. And I just hope that people will find our team more because there are some people that still don't know about our team. There are so many teams in Boston. So I think that's going to help us to have even more fans in the future. And then when people see us playing, and I hope they're excited about our team. And yeah, it's awesome. And it's pretty hard because we play so far away from the city. So I hope there are going to be some new people that haven't been at our game yet.
Although such big process has been made to grow the game, there's still a long way to go. Teresa Schaafsal, a former forward for the Boston Fleet who is now in the Seattle Torrent, is hopeful for the future of the game.
I think it's mind-boggling that it's taken so long. It's 2025, and it still seems like this league just started, which it did. I just really think it should be a thing. Women should be able to play in these really professional leagues, and that should be a given. So the fact that it hasn't been like that in the last decades is kind of crazy. So I feel like we're finally getting to a point where it's getting to a decent level, but I think there's still a lot of room for growth.
From Northeastern, Cassandra Joyce, NUTV.
Well, it's April, and you know what that means, Eliana.
I sure do, Selena.
Seniors are working on their capstones.
And we have a sneak peek into one capstone project that is aiming to explain what a future of local TV news could look like. NUTV News correspondent Lawrence Brown is here to give us a sneak peek. Lawrence?
Selena and Eliana, if you know me, you know there is nothing I'm more passionate about than producing local news. And through this project, I explored ways that journalists are adapting to a future in this industry. Here is a sneak peek.
The future of local TV news.
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 Streaming digital first content.
Vertical video.
Doing the stories that you believe matter.
The shift from linear television news programming to streaming digital first content is probably the biggest shift in this industry that we're witnessing right now.
It's clear that the phone is the #1 delivery system. The platforms, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, those are your 3 platforms. So I've been in it for more than 3 decades. And yes, the sets have gotten flashier, the cameras have gotten nicer, the picture quality is better. We've got drone technology and other technology, but the format is arguably pretty stale, and it's the same thing that we've been seeing for decades.
I think what I've been doing is trying to flip the paradigm of news gathering through my Walking Boston series.
Walking Boston in Kenmore Square. Kenmore Square is just one of those iconic spots in the city.
Vertical video is everywhere now that I don't think the viewer minds it.
All in on vertical video. I think it can be successful when TV stations focus on digital platforms instead of just repurposing the content that they're putting on TV.
I think that it's my job to find different ways to present it to people and to make it a why do I care story. And so that's the things that I really take pride in when I'm doing my job, is that I can make it different than what everybody else is going to do.
I also think including people in the stories of as many ages as possible is really important. If you don't see yourself reflected in a newscast, why would you ever watch it?
I wish there was a better understanding on what is news.
I'd get to CBS in Alston and people would be talking about, oh my gosh, I talked to my sister this morning and she's having a terrible time shoveling her car out of the driveway, say there was a snowstorm. And they'll put a reporter on that because that's what one of the news producers or a guider of coverage at that station was impacted by in their personal life. And so that's what got covered that day, not what's actually happening in that community.
I would throw a reporter out in the community. Let's go check out a new restaurant in Boston. Let's go to the animal shelter if there are animals that need to be rescued. Bring better stories, lighter stories, where it's going to set people up for the day.
It is shifting away from television, and I think that that is a bumpy road. We're starting to traverse it. What that means is people don't have cable as much anymore. They're not sitting down right at 5 o'clock when the news is on to watch it. So you kind of have to meet them where they are.
I don't think TV news is dead. I think TV news is going through a shift. To the younger people, I would say fight for yourself, fight for your stories. You guys are going to be a huge part of that shift. You're going to direct it, be the difference, and stand by the difference. Amplify your voice.
Stay tuned for the full version of the project coming soon, and for all of the capstone projects made by members of NUTV. Selena, Eliana?
Yeah. Okay. This just in, the astronauts on the Orion capsule have made it back home safely.
Yay! As we end our last Husky update of the semester and our last Husky update with NUTV, we want to give a tribute to our graduating seniors.
We send it back to NUTV News correspondent and graduating senior Lawrence Brown as we send off the seniors in style. Lawrence?
As I thought about what to say tonight on behalf of all of our graduating seniors in our news department, I truly didn't know how to encapsulate 4 years of what I now call home into a few minutes, but here goes. When I entered this club in September of 2022 and anchored my first Husky update, I had absolutely no clue how lucky I was to become part of this club full of talented, innovative filmmakers and journalists. A live Husky update was unthinkable 4 years ago, but as I stand here with you live on YouTube right now, I can't tell you how proud I am of the work the students behind the cameras, in the control room, and on the desk right now have done and the things we've achieved together. But most importantly, we've built a family here. On YouTube every other Friday night, you see a well-produced and constructed newscast, for the most part. But what you don't see is the family we've built behind the scenes. And on behalf of all of the seniors in our news department, we are so grateful to have had the opportunity to build this family and to do what we love together. And without further ado, our graduating seniors.
Your campus, your news, all the time. From the Showman Studio, here is the Husky Update.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Husky Update. My name is Selena Budd. Here's the week's news.
From bringing you hard news every other Friday,
we begin tonight with the war in the Middle East.
In local news, the husband of missing Cohasset woman Anna Walsh, Brian Walsh, has been arrested for her murder.
I'm Lawrence Brown, and this is Lightning Round. In campus news, since move-in began on August 28th, there has been a lot of dorm chaos on campus.
To reviewing our favorite restaurants in Boston.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to NDR Kung Fu Tea Boba. Today, I had the Oreo Wow Milk medium flavor. I'm a massive fan of Oreo, if you know me very, very well.
Hello and welcome to News Does Reviews Jamaica Plains Licks. We are here at the original JP Licks location.
All right, hello everybody. I'm Selena. We're here at Boston Burger Company. I had the smash burger, and I would probably give it like a 4 out of 5 Huskies.
All right, we have arrived here at the brand new Flower Bakery. It opened just last month. It's a huge space. It's where the JP Licks used to be, and we're gonna give it a try.
Welcome back to NUTV. We've made it to the Cheese Inn Diner in Woodstock, New York. We have quite a bit of wait time. As you can see, there's a pretty long line formed here. Well, it is currently 3:45 p.m. The Cheese Inn Diner does not open until 4 p.m., so we'll check back then and see how long of a wait time we officially have. See you then.
Going beyond borders.
All right, hello everybody. I just finished up my meal at the Rainforest Cafe in Niagara Falls in Canada.
And answering the tough questions.
Do you think you beat the molasses?
I think I'm more of a stamina guy, so I'd win.
Have you ever had a bad roommate situation?
Yeah, so like freshman year, I was rooming with my friend from high school, Noam, but then we also got a third surprise roommate, and his name was like Ting Rui. So he was from China, so we met him in our room. It was White Hall, best hall.
Even being recognized by strangers for showing off their dorms.
Hey, oh my gosh, hey! I haven't seen you forever. Would you like to see my room? I would love to. Okay, let's go.
Our informative SGA updates.
The first month of the semester has been a productive one for Northeastern student government. In this week's full body Senate, new senators had their first opportunity to debate new legislations that were proposed by various boards and committees.
Interviewing big names.
All right, I'm here with President Ayoun. How are you feeling tonight? What do we think the score is going to be of the game?
I feel great tonight. Look at our students. They're terrific. That's why we're going to win.
I'm Andy Moore. I'm Dylan Rascovian. I'm from Montreal.
And today we're going to be asking them some questions about hockey, Northeastern, and just some other questions generally.
And most importantly, having lots of fun in a world where a laugh is hard to find these days.
I really hope her speech is what my dreams are made of. Anyways, Northeastern Springfest concert featuring headliner Malcolm Todd with support from Bano and Cherry Crisis is officially sold out, womp womp, ahead of tomorrow's show at Roadrunner. Doors open at 6 p.m. and the concert begins at 7 p.m. Students attending should bring a valid Husky or government-issued ID, and those with tickets are encouraged to arrive early for the best spots. Free shuttle buses will run from campus to the venue starting at 4:30 p.m., with return service available after the show.
It has all been nothing short of a privilege and a dream to be part of a community that makes going through the tough days of college worth it. On behalf of all of the seniors in the NUTV News Department, thank you for watching us for 4 years, and please continue to watch the upcoming generation of journalists in this club who will continue to innovate and make us all proud.
to hear what he does in his major.
Yeah, never heard of that guy. Anyways, that's the news. The rest is up to you.
And I want to give a special thank you to our news directors, Andrew Longo and Richie Kohler, who have completely transformed this department for the better and have set a precedent for what broadcast news could look like for college campuses across the country. And most importantly, for making this community our home. Thank you all again for watching us for these past 4 years. Eliana, Selena?
I couldn't agree more, Lawrence. Thank you so much for that beautiful package, and it's been so wonderful and incredible to be a part of this community for the last 4 years, and it's even more special to share this last update with all of the wonderful seniors we have here and my former news director, Eliana. So, for the last time, are we all ready? Okay. That's the news. The rest is up to you. Be sure to follow our Instagram page and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with the Husky Update. I'm Selena Budd.
And I'm Eliana Zahalski. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again this fall. We look forward to bringing you more quality news coverage. Have a great night and a great summer.
Bye.
Bye.